3 weeks ago, I found something on my nephew's phone that made my blood run cold. But if you think discovering he'd gambled away my life savings was the worst of it, wait until you hear what I found in the garage. That's when I knew this wasn't just about money anymore. Let me back up. My name is Richard. I'm 65 years old, a retired electrical engineer, former Navy man, and up until 2 months ago, I thought I knew my family pretty well. After my wife Sarah passed 3 years back, the house felt too big, too quiet. So when my sister's boy Marcus showed up at my door last October, asking if he could stay for a while, I didn't hesitate. "Just until I get back on my feet, Uncle Rich," he said, standing on my porch with 2 duffel bags, and that smile Sarah always said could charm birds out of trees. The startup didn't work out, and rent in the city is insane. Marcus was 32. Smart kid, computer science degree, always talking about the next big thing, the next opportunity. I remembered him as a teenager, running around my backyard, asking me to explain how radios worked, how electricity traveled through wires. He'd always been curious, ambitious. "Course you can stay," I told him. "Family's family." That was my first mistake. For the first month, everything seemed fine. Marcus kept to himself mostly, worked on his laptop in the spare bedroom I'd set up for him. Sometimes I'd hear him on phone calls, talking fast about market trends, cryptocurrency, investment opportunities. It all sounded impressive, even if I didn't understand half of it. Then, one evening in November, he came to me with a proposal. "Uncle Rich, I've been looking at your finances." He had this earnest look on his face, sitting across from me at the kitchen table where Sarah and I used to play cards. "You're keeping everything in savings accounts. With inflation, you're actually losing money." I shrugged. "It's worked for me this long, but it doesn't have to be that way." He pulled out his laptop, showed me charts and graphs that might as well have been in Chinese. "I've got a client who runs a private equity fund, very exclusive. Returns averaging 22% annually. I could get you in." I should have said no. I should have asked more questions. But Marcus was family. And the truth was, money had been tight since Sarah's medical bills. My pension covered the basics, but there wasn't much cushion. "How much are we talking?" I asked. "Minimum investment is $50,000, he said. "But honestly, with your savings, you could put in 80, 90,000 and really see returns. We're talking an extra 15, 20,000 a year. That's a nice vacation. New truck. Whatever you want. $85,000. That was everything I had left after paying off the house and Sarah's final expenses. My emergency fund. My safety net. But Marcus was looking at me with those eager eyes, and I thought about Sarah, about how she always said we should have traveled more, done more, lived more. Maybe this was my chance. "Let me think about it," I said. I thought about it for 3 days. Then I transferred $85,000 to the account Marcus gave me. "You won't regret this, Uncle Rich," he said, grinning. 6 months from now, you're going to be thanking me." I didn't know then that in 6 months, I'd be watching him get arrested in my driveway. The first sign something was wrong came 2 weeks after I made the investment. I was in the kitchen making coffee when I heard Marcus on the phone in his room. The walls in my house are thin. Sarah always complained about that. "I need more time," Marcus was saying, his voice tight, stressed. "I told you, the money's coming. My uncle just needs a few more weeks to liquidate some assets." "Liquidate assets?" I frowned. "What assets?" I'd already given him everything liquid I had. I told myself it was probably nothing. Business talk. But that night, I couldn't sleep. Something felt off. The next few weeks, I started noticing changes. Marcus was getting phone calls at odd hours. He'd step outside to take them, even when it was 30 degrees out. He stopped making eye contact with me, started eating dinner in his room, and he was asking me about the house. "Uncle Rich, have you ever thought about selling?" he asked one Sunday, casual-like, while we were watching football. "House this size, this neighborhood, you could probably get 400,000 easy, maybe more." I stared at him. "Why would I sell? This is my home. Your aunt and I built our life here. I'm just saying, you could downsize, get a condo, pocket the difference, enjoy your retirement." "I am enjoying my retirement," I said, more sharply than I meant to. In my house. He dropped it, but I couldn't shake the weird feeling in my gut. Then came the morning everything changed. It was early December, a Tuesday. Marcus had left his phone on the kitchen counter while he was in the shower. It buzzed, then it buzzed again, and again. I wasn't trying to snoop. I really wasn't. But the screen lit up with each notification, and I couldn't help but see the preview messages. Final warning. $47K due Friday, or we take collateral. Stop ignoring us. We know where you live. Your uncle's house will do just fine. My heart stopped. I looked at the closed bathroom door. Steam was seeping out underneath. The shower was still running. My hands were shaking as I picked up the phone. It wasn't locked. The screen opened to a messaging app I didn't recognize. I scrolled up. My stomach twisted with each message I read. Marcus hadn't invested my money. He'd gambled it. Online poker, sports betting, cryptocurrency day trading. And when he'd lost it all, he'd borrowed more. $50,000 from someone who signed their messages V. Someone who charged 20% interest. Weekly. I sat down hard in one of my kitchen chairs. The same chair where I'd signed the transfer authorization. Where Marcus had shown me those impressive charts and promised me returns. All lies. But that wasn't even the worst part. As I kept scrolling, I found messages to someone named Tony. He's got to be worth $500K at least. House is paid off. No mortgage. Once I get power of attorney, we're golden. How you gonna get POA? Old man seems pretty sharp. He's got early signs. Memory problems. I've been documenting it. Got a doctor friend who'll sign off. Then it's just a matter of time before the house is mine. Memory problems. I didn't have memory problems. Marcus was planning to have me declared incompetent. To steal my house. To put me in a home. The shower shut off. I heard Marcus humming. I put the phone back exactly where it had been, walked to my bedroom, and closed the door. Then I sat on the edge of the bed I'd shared with Sarah for 40 years and tried to breathe. Think, Richard. Think like you did in the Navy. When you're in a crisis, you don't panic. You assess, you plan, you execute. I spent the next hour sitting there, my mind racing. Part of me wanted to confront him immediately. Throw him out. Call the police. But what could I prove? That he'd received threatening messages? That he'd talked about getting power of attorney? None of that was illegal yet. And my money? I'd voluntarily transferred it. The account was real. For all I knew, he could claim he'd invested it, and it had just lost value. No. I needed to be smarter than that. I needed evidence. Real evidence. And I needed him to hang himself with it. That afternoon, I drove to Best Buy. Bought 4 security cameras. The kid at the counter gave me a weird look when I asked which ones could upload footage to the cloud. Most of them do, sir, he said. You want ones that detect motion? Night vision? Everything, I said. Best you've got. I installed them that night while Marcus was out. One in the living room, one in the kitchen, one covering the front door, one covering the garage. Disguised as smoke detectors, picture frames. That little clock Sarah had loved. Marcus wouldn't notice. He barely looked at anything in this house except his phone. Then I went to see Frank. Frank Martinez had been my attorney for 20 years. Handled our wills, the house paperwork, everything. He was semi-retired now, but when I called and said I needed to see him urgently, he told me to come by that evening. Richard, what's going on? Frank asked, gesturing me into his home office. His wife brought us coffee. I told him everything. Showed him screenshots I'd taken of Marcus's messages, explained about the money, the threats, the plan to get power of attorney. Frank's expression grew darker with every word. This is elder financial abuse, he said finally, and conspiracy to commit fraud, maybe extortion, depending on what these loan sharks are doing. He leaned back in his chair. But you're right that we need more evidence. What you've got is a start, but we need to catch him in the act. How? Frank thought for a moment. You said he's planning to have you declared incompetent? That's what the messages said. Then let him try. Let him make his move. Document everything. Keep those cameras running. And Richard, Frank looked me in the eye. Don't let on that you know. Act normal. The moment he suspects you're onto him, he'll run. So that's what I did. For the next 2 weeks, I played the part of the trusting uncle. I asked Marcus about my investment. He showed me fake statements he'd created, told me the fund was doing great, just needed more time to mature. Actually, Uncle Rich, he said one night, I was thinking, you know how you've been forgetting things lately? My blood went cold, but I kept my face neutral. What do you mean? Like last week, you asked me the same question twice, about whether I'd paid for groceries. He had this concerned look on his face that made me want to punch him. And you couldn't remember where you'd parked at the store. I had never asked him the same question twice. I'd never forgotten where I parked, but I nodded slowly, playing along. Maybe you're right, I said. I have been feeling a little foggy. His eyes lit up, just for a second, but I saw it. Maybe we should see a doctor, he suggested, just to be safe. I know a neurologist. Really good guy. Sure, I said. That sounds smart. The cameras caught all of it. 2 days later, the loan shark showed up. I was in the garage, pretending to organize tools, when I heard the doorbell, checked my phone. The camera feed showed 2 men in leather jackets. One was big, easily 6'4". The other was wiry, with a scar running down his cheek. I heard Marcus answer the door. Heard the panic in his voice. "Vi sent us," the big one said. "You got our money? I need more time. I told you, my uncle's selling the house. As soon as that goes through, we're done waiting. You got 3 options. Pay up, we take collateral, or we break something. Your choice." I stepped out of the garage, walked toward the front door like I'd just heard voices. "Marcus, everything okay?" The 2 men turned to look at me. Marcus's face went white. "Uncle Rich, these are just some friends of mine. We're here about the money your nephew owes," the big one said, cutting him off. He looked me up and down. "Nice house you got." I felt that old Navy training kick in. "Stay calm. Assess the threat. Don't show fear. I think you gentlemen should leave," I said evenly. The scarred one laughed. "Or what, old man? Or I call the police." I pulled out my phone. "I've got you on camera threatening my nephew. That's attempted extortion. You want to wait around for the cops? Be my guest." They looked at each other. The big one's jaw tightened. "This ain't over," he said to Marcus. Then they left. Marcus turned to me, his face a mask of panic and anger. "Why did you do that?" "Those are the kind of friends you keep?" I asked. "People who threaten violence?" "You don't understand. It's complicated." "Then explain it to me." He couldn't. He stammered something about a business deal gone wrong, then locked himself in his room. I went to my room and reviewed the camera footage. Got everything. Their faces, their threats, their admission that Marcus owed money. I sent it all to Frank. The next morning, Marcus was gone when I woke up. His door was open, his bags mostly packed. There was a note on the kitchen table. "Uncle Rich, I need to go away for a while. Business trip. I'll be back in a week." He wasn't coming back. I knew it. He was running, but he'd made one mistake. He'd left his laptop. I'd like to say I felt guilty about opening it. I didn't. I sat down at the kitchen table and went through every file, every document, every email. What I found made that first phone discovery look like nothing. Marcus hadn't just gambled my money. He'd created fake investment documents. He'd forged my signature on loan applications. He'd taken out 3 credit cards in my name, maxed them all out. My credit was destroyed. And there, in a folder labeled POA process, was his entire plan. Documents from his doctor friend claiming I had dementia. A forged power of attorney form with my signature. Emails to real estate agents about listing my house. Communications with assisted living facilities. He'd been planning to have me declared incompetent, committed, and homeless. All so he could sell my house and pay off his debts. I sat there staring at the screen for a long time. Then I called Frank. "Get over here," I said. "Bring your criminal attorney friend. We've got everything we need." Frank arrived an hour later with a woman named Patricia Chen, a criminal defense attorney who specialized in financial crimes. I showed them the laptop. "This is gold," Patricia said, her eyes wide. "This is fraud, identity theft, attempted elder abuse, and if we can prove coercion with those loan sharks, Possibly RICO violations. What do I do? I asked. We go to the police. Today. Right now. We did. Spent 4 hours at the station, giving statements, turning over evidence. The detective, a woman in her 40s named Santos, got more and more angry as she reviewed what Marcus had done. Mr. Caldwell, I want you to know we take elder abuse very seriously, she said. Your nephew is going to face serious charges. What about the loan sharks? I asked. We've already got a unit working on that. If your nephew cooperates, he might be able to help us take down a bigger operation. But that's his choice. 2 days later, they arrested Marcus at a motel outside Pittsburgh. He'd been trying to get to Canada. They brought him back in cuffs. I watched from my living room window as the police car pulled into my driveway, watched them walk him to my door. Detective Santos had asked if I wanted to be there when they brought him in to collect evidence. I said yes. Marcus looked terrible. His eyes were red, his hair greasy. When he saw me standing in my doorway, something in his face just crumbled. Uncle Rich, he started. I can explain. No, I said. You really can't. Detective Santos read him his rights again. Let him know they were executing a search warrant for his room. Marcus just stood there, handcuffed, watching the crime scene techs bag up his laptop, his phone, his files. You know they came back, I said quietly. Your loan shark friends. Yesterday. Detective Santos was here. She'd like to talk to them too. Marcus's face went even paler. You set me up. I documented your crimes, I corrected. There's a difference. They led him to the police car. Before they put him in the back seat, he turned to look at me one more time. I'm sorry, he said. I didn't answer. I just watched them drive away. Later, I found out Marcus had been in debt for over 2 years. The loan sharks were part of an organized crime ring that had been on the FBI's radar for months. Marcus's cooperation helped bring them down. In exchange, he got a plea deal. 8 years in federal prison for wire fraud, identity theft, and elder abuse. He'll be out when he's 40. The loan sharks got much longer sentences. I got my money back. Most of it, anyway. The court ordered restitution, seized Marcus's assets, which weren't much. The FBI recovered some of the funds from the loan shark operation. Between that and selling off the fake investment accounts Marcus had created, I ended up with about $60,000 of my original $85,000. It wasn't everything, but it was enough. My credit's been restored, the house is still mine, and I had new locks installed, just in case. Sometimes I think about what Marcus said. I'm sorry. I don't know if he meant it. I don't know if he was sorry for what he did, or just sorry he got caught. Sarah used to say family was everything, that blood was thicker than water. But she also used to say that trust, once broken, was almost impossible to repair. Marcus wasn't just my nephew. He was someone I'd known since he was born, someone I'd helped raise after his father left, someone I'd trusted with everything, and he'd planned to take it all. I called my sister last week, told her what happened. She cried, said she didn't know what to say, how to apologize for her son. I told her it wasn't her fault. But I also told her Marcus wasn't welcome in my home when he got out. Some bridges, once burned, don't get rebuilt. The house feels quiet again, but it's a different kind of quiet now. Not lonely, just peaceful. I've started volunteering at the senior center downtown, teaching basic technology classes, how to spot online scams, how to protect your identity, how to recognize financial abuse. If I can help one person avoid what I went through, it'll be worth it. And I keep the security cameras running, just in case. Because Sarah was right about a lot of things, but she was wrong about one. Blood isn't thicker than water. Sometimes the people who share your blood are the ones who'll bleed you dry. The people who truly care about you, they don't need to be family. They just need to be honest.